So today we are talking about being a role model. Of course, not all of us are parents, but even if we're not a parent, we could still have somebody in the house with us who we could be a role model to, even if it's just a partner. We always want to be thinking about how we can affect the people around us. So if we are parents, let's think about the fact that children are sponges. Children will copy whatever they see, whatever they hear, and whatever they're told. Now, growing up, children, they expand a lot of energy. They are always on the go, and you can kind of get away with feeding them the wrong things, knowing that because they're so active, it won't really have an effect on their physical appearance. We can't say, though, that it won't have an effect on what's going on within. So, when children get to a certain age, naturally their body starts to slow down. And this starts to happen between the ages of 8 and 11. So just when they're coming up into primary school age, and then they're really starting to slow down, probably starting to like a bit more technology than they did when they were younger, and obviously watching a lot more TV. But not only that, they also start to enjoy the foods that they shouldn't be eating. So when children are younger, for whatever reason, they love vegetables, they love salad. And as they start to get older, they will start to enjoy sweet stuff a lot more. It's just naturally what happens. The body starts to get used to what it's being fed. Now, if we're parents, we obviously, as parents, will copy what happened to our upbringing. Whatever we was brought up in, the environment, we will copy that. And unfortunately, that just means that when we're a parent, we tend to just do the same. But we can break the cycle. We do not have to allow that to be a part of how we bring up our children. So let's start to think about, what will children copy? Well, if you smoke, children will tend to have a dabble or even become full-on smokers when they're older. If you're somebody that binge watches the TV, children will do the same. Okay, at first it won't affect them, but then as you continue, they will start to do the same. They'll come home from secondary school, sit down, slouch, and not do much if that's what they see. And again, if you're somebody that likes to drink alcohol, or if you're an emotional drinker and you like to pour yourself a glass of alcohol when your day hasn't really gone right, children will see. And as they get older, that's what they will think is the solution. When we speak, how do you speak about yourself? Are you negative? Do you always say, oh, I've got to get rid of this belly? Oh, I've got to do something about this weight. Oh, I've got to weigh again and see how much I am. Oh, I've got to do something about my diet. If you constantly talk negatively about yourself around your children, it may not have an effect on them immediately, but as they start to grow up, they will start to think about themselves in an unhealthy way. So, again, you have to always think about what you say around your child. And you also have to think about, how do you want them to feel when they're older? Would you want your child coming to you talking about how they're unhappy about their belly, or they're unhappy about how they look, or they don't want to eat certain foods anymore because it's making them fat? How would it make you feel as a parent if your child kept saying those things to you? Well, not good. So then you have to think, what am I saying that my child is going to start to copy? And then what they're told. Children will think and meditate on what they're told. Never tell your child, if they're overweight, that they're overweight. Okay, because this is something that when they become a teenager, they will home in on. And that's what will start to cause them to have some kind of eating disorder, or think negatively of themselves. So we always want to think about what we tell our children. And again, we also have to look at how we've grown them up and contributed to their unhealthy habit. So we can't blame a child who's overweight for being overweight when the parent is the person responsible for feeding them. So I want you to just look at this vicious cycle of child obesity here and think about the effects that poor eating can have on a child. And there are so many children out there today that are so slim, but their diet is wrong. And that doesn't mean that they won't get any of these effects happening to them. So even if your child does gymnastics, sports, football, whatever, and they're so active, but every day they're still having a pack of crisp, a biscuit, a chocolate bar, a bit of a cake after dinner, in time, that can still lead to these effects on their body. So you still have to think about what's going on inside, just not looking at the outer appearance. Now, what can we do as parents to be a good role model? Well, firstly, we need to become active parents, because you can't be having an active child with an inactive parent, because if on a Saturday you're not quite an active person and the weekend's here and your child wants to go out and be active, then who's going to be responsible for taking them? So you have to become active in order to help your child to become active. So be the role model. Always think of ways that you can move and help your child to move. Remember how you felt as a child. Come the weekend, was you full of energy? Did you always want to go out? Did you want to visit the local park? How was your parents with you? Did they take you out? If they didn't take you out, how did you feel about that? So we have to think about ways that we can help our children by understanding the ways that we felt when these things happen to us. And why we want to do this is because we want to change the next generation. There is so much technology available to children now that what will start to happen over time is that children will start to become more lazier at a younger age than when we were younger. And for us to be able to change that is to take on these steps so that children of today can stay active, then they can become active parents for their children. Now, I just want you to reflect on, you becoming a role model is going to take a lot of time if it's at the moment something that you just aren't able to do. There are so many adults today that are not self-motivated. There are so many adults today that have insecurities, that have eating disorders, that suffer with anxiety and depression. There are parents that have children with autism, and that again can get you down. So this isn't something that's going to happen overnight, but I want you to think about ways that you can help your child by the things that you say and what you show when you're around them. If you are somebody who likes to have a nibble in the night time and you do binge and go into the cupboards, then guess what? You're not going to change overnight, but you can do it when your kids are in bed. I've always taught clients, if you're going to fall and you're going to binge, do it when no one's around. That's not becoming a secret eater. That's just not making people around you feel that they have to eat when their emotions get in the way or get the better of them. So start to take on little habits that you can form that your children don't see, so that you can still be a role model to them. And then in time, you'll be able to help them whilst helping yourself, so that together you can both become active.